Welcome to the Football Fignuts podcast. It is season 8, episode 3. And if you've been counting all along, why would you? That's 313 episodes. Thank God this is not a baseball podcast because the Mets and Yankees fans would be hating each other right now. I'm Sean.
I am Britt.
And I'm Craig. And I still love Sean, even though he's a Met fan.
And you know, he almost did it again. He stopped. He caught himself.
Almost.
He almost called us the Fignuts Football Podcast, which he famously did a season ago. And I still have that blooper reel.
We'll have to get him a shirt that says that.
Have to get him a shirt. But we are back. It is running backs week, gentlemen. Are we ready to discuss RBs?
No, sure. They're all terrible. That's what Cinch told me.
It's better than the guy that thinks that no running back deserves a second contract. So he hates RBs. Wow.
Shots fired.
Well, you can't have the running back hater on the running back episode.
Sure I can if the schedule works out. It didn't, so he's not. I had to get in this week because I'll be gone for 2 weeks. Sean's gone next week, so next week it's just going to be Craig and Cinch.
Dun.
The live episode.
And then Sean will be back for the kicker tight end defense extravaganza in 2 weeks.
It's Sean's favorite episode. But I'm getting ahead of ourselves. We got to start where we always start. Let's start with Sean. Sean, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Double Cloud by New Park Group.
Solid. Double Cloud is one of my favorites. So that's an excellent call. You've had that before. I've given you that.
Yeah, I don't see it down here very often, so picked it up when I saw it.
There's one liquor store by me that carries it. I don't know if you bought it in Milford or not.
Nope, bought it in Shelton, actually.
Sorry, so now we know 2 stores locally that carry it because they don't distribute. They distribute privately, and there's maybe 25 or 30 stores statewide that carry them. But they are very, very good. Craig, what about you? What are you drinking tonight?
So tonight I have a can of You Like It a Juice by Beard Brewing. And you have to say the name like that. So if
You Like It a Juice.
You Like It a Juice. If you know the skit, it's very funny. If you don't know the skit, I'm not going to explain it to you.
Fair. Tonight I am drinking Diet Cola, which I want to just let our viewers or listeners know, let our listeners know, I agonized for all day about this. I leave tonight on vacation, and I have to fly tomorrow. So in addition to having like all the normal, did I forget to pack something, I also have to get on an airplane, and people who know me know that is a recipe for disaster. So I've got about a combined 10 hours sleep in the last 6 or 7 days. So alcohol right now is not necessarily the best idea for the guy who's sleep deprived and anxious.
Hey, I've heard all those stories about drunk people on planes. You'll be fine.
I don't want to be one of them. You know,
come on, alcohol. It's the cause and the solution to all of life's problems.
Yes. Thank you, Homer. That's a Homerism right there. It really is. So, all right, but let's move on. So I am sober tonight. I will play referee. I'm sober and tired, so I will mainly play referee tonight for these two guys while we break down our running back rankings. But first, let's do some burning hot takes, and I am going to take the reins and start tonight.
Sure.
Because I have a challenge for the two of you.
Oh boy!
Right.
Earlier this week, a writer at USA Today, and I don't have it right in front of me because my computer crashed, but a writer at USA Today put together his list of the top 10 NFL running backs of all time. Because we don't have a ton of time to go through this, we'll go back and forth. The first time you get one wrong, you're out.
Ooh, okay.
No strikes, because we can only spend like a minute on this. So, Sean, give me one of the top 10 running backs of all time.
Oh, crap. LaDainian Tomlinson.
LaDainian Tomlinson is number 4. Wow. Well done, Sean. Craig, what do you got for me?
Only because he was in the news this week. I'm gonna say Corey Dillon.
And Craig finishes the game right there, and then Corey Dillon.
Thank you,
is
everybody.
Not
Thank you. Please try the fish.
So really quick, the list is going from.
Can I guess one more at least?
You can get one more. You know what? We'll go until you get one wrong, but you gotta move. You can't be Sean in the diner here.
All right. Jim Brown.
Jim Brown's number 3.
Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers is number 8.
Walter Payton.
Walter Payton's number 2.
Barry Sanders
is number 1.
Let's go with let's go with the all-time rushing leader, I guess. Mr. Oh Jesus Christ, like Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith is correct. Number 5. It's got 6 of them. That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
Now it gets a little tricky, and I think for time's sake, I think I'm going to tap out and let you say him.
Okay, so it's Marcus Allen at number 10.
Oh yeah.
Eric Dickerson at 9. We said Gale Sayers was 8. Yeah. Adrian Peterson at 7. Marshall Faulk at 6.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then the other ones you got, which was Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, and Barry Sanders. You got 6 out of 10 without missing a beat. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. If I was a little bit more time to think, I probably would have gotten at least two more at least of those.
Yeah, I think you probably would have gotten Eric Dickerson and Marcus Allen eventually.
Yeah. So or Adrian Peterson. Yeah.
All right, Craig, what's burning and hot in your mind tonight?
So for me, because I think my computer just caught your thing because my question was up on screen and then it disappeared. So there's some news going around in Buffalo that Josh Allen is overrated, and the Bills need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills GM came out and said, "There's idiots everywhere."
Yeah.
Do you think him being the G? I don't know if he drafted him. I'd have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh Allen's going into year 7.
Right.
He hasn't. Well, I mean, he's good, but they haven't won. They haven't won the Super Bowl with him being there. Do you think the GM is just saying that to defend him, or does he, in the back of his mind, being like, is he like, crap, I need to draft a quarterback soon?
I think the GM has a lot of experience with idiots, seeing as his fans are known from jumping off of the top of trailers through picnic tables. So yeah, I don't buy a lot of this noise out of Buffalo that Josh Allen needs to produce this year. He's done. I don't buy that noise. I think it's just noise. Sean, what's your thoughts on this?
I agree. I think it's just noise. I mean, you can't be happy with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, seriously, it's a little ridiculous. I mean, and then you go and kind of not give him any great talent to help him out up there, and you're putting it all on him, and then you're just going to say, but if he doesn't perform, we're going to get rid of him? Nah, I don't think so.
What is the difference? And this is just a quick question for you guys. Other than the fact that they made the Super Bowl 4 times, what is really the difference in success-wise between Jim Kelly and Josh Allen? Well, they made the Super Bowl and that counts. They made the Super Bowl in an era when the AFC was like college level. The AFC was brutally bad for ages.
Oh yeah.
How many Super Bowls in a row did they lose to NFC opponents? 9 or 10? And
yeah, because that was the Dallas and 49er era.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so you know what the difference is? The difference is the Troy Aikman of this era is in the AFC. The difference is the Steve Young and Joe Montanas of this era are in the AFC. It's a different era. They are a damn good team, and I think Buffalo's overreacting. He's easily, for my money, at worst, he's the second best quarterback in franchise history behind Jim Kelly. And you could make the argument that he could be better than Jim Kelly in the end. You're telling me you're going to walk away from the second best quarterback your franchise has ever had? I don't know. Right. Sean, what do you got burning on your mind tonight?
I'm going to stick with like our wide receiver kind of like theme here, and they're and there's everyone wants to draft. Everyone wants these rookies. These rookies are gonna everyone's enthralled with these rookie wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And probably more even even tight ends and things like that. Maybe not this year, but everyone's gonna pick up. There's Marvin Harrison Jr. is going really high. Neighbors is going pretty high too.
Why? He's a giant.
And those two seem to be like the consensus. These guys are gonna be the good, great payoff rookies this year. But there's so many other, like Ricky Parasol, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Coleman, Rona Dunze, Xavier Worthy. My question is, which one is going to be, now we're talking about redraft, not dynasty, the best option this year? And for me, I'm thinking it's going to be Ladd. Ladd McConkey on the Chargers is going to have the opportunity to be that, maybe even that alpha dog out there.
I agree. Actually, Ladd has been the one. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going way too high. Way too high.
Especially for the team he's on.
Yeah, way too high. Ladd McConkey, I've got a lot of shares of him already in leagues I'm in. I also have a lot of shares of Roma Dunze because he is going so cheap compared to the field. Like, I'm looking down at the field, and it's like Zay Jones or Roma Dunze. I'm gonna take Roma Dunze.
Yeah, I like Dunze, obviously. I think he's great for, dynasty long term. But this year there's so much competition for targets that, and you don't know exactly is Caleb going to be, good his rookie year. So that's also that people got to take that into consideration. So I can see him why he's isn't up there with those other two. But I like Ladd. I think Keenan Coleman also has a very good opportunity to become the number one receiver out there. So I like those two guys. How about you, Craig?
Pete, before we get to Craig, his consensus PPR position in ADP is wide receiver 42, Adunze. Wide receiver 42.
Yeah.
Who are you getting there that you're like, oh my God, I can't consider this guy?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. Okay, so hold on. I'm pulling up the Fantasy Pros right now. Where are you? They've got McConkey at 42. They've got Adunze at 43. The guys after him are guys like Xavier Worthy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cortland Sutton.
Remember him?
I mean, really? Rasheed Rice? I'm not taking Rasheed Rice. He's probably going to jail. He's probably going to jail. Deontay Johnson is in Carolina now. I'll take Roma Dunze over Deontay Johnson because at that point, I'm looking for my 5th or 6th wide receiver. So, Craig, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, looking at the rookies, I do think Ladd and Coleman could have very good years. I'm looking at another rookie I'm looking at who the team he's going on, they really don't have much else. They're kind of the southern version of the Bills. It's Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville. His competition is going to be Gabe Davis, and I know we all love Gabe Davis, and Christian Kirk. Like, I think he is going to be their Jaguars' number one receiver by week 8. So I think that's something to consider. Another thing, and I know I told you I'm trying not to pick Bengals this year. I know that, but
trying being the operative word.
Trying, but because of the various contract issues going on with Cincinnati receivers, namely T. Higgins, their rookie they drafted, Jermaine Burton, has potential to be kind of like a sleeper rookie pick, because I feel like if anything happens to Higgins, like say he gets hurt, I feel like he's going to nurse it for as long as he can, because he's going to try to go somewhere else next year. And I don't know, depending on how the Bengals do, I don't know if he's going to like risk coming back too soon, which may leave Burton to have some opportunities. And another cool stat about him, he dropped less than 3% of his catchable targets in college, which is pretty impressive.
Jermaine Burton currently number 187 overall in ADP. That's wide receiver 74. So you're talking about the 5th or 6th guy down in a 12-man. That's where you're reaching for a guy like that and saying, all right, well, you know what? Worst case scenario is I'll drop his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about
the Tyler Boyd fill in?
Because someone asked a question about receivers.
Okay, well, let's talk about running backs, because that's what the people paid money to see tonight. Let's give them what they want. All right, so the consensus rankings are in. Our top 3. Well, you know what? I'm going to say our top 5 is pretty consistent, so let's go there. Number 1 is a consensus overall. Number 1 for us, it's Christian McCaffrey. That's no shock. Number 2 on our consensus is Bijan Robinson. Number 3 is Jahmyr Gibbs. Number 4 is Bryce Hall. And number 5 is Jonathan Taylor. Every one of the contributors put those 5 men in the top 5 except one. One person on this call, who we shall not identify as Craig, put Jonathan Taylor at 9th overall, behind names like Kyron Williams and Travis Etienne. Craig, why are you hating on Jonathan Taylor? Let's start
his ankles are literally made of paper mache now. Like
So are mine.
I do not. Yeah, but you're not a full-time running back.
True.
I do not trust his injury history at all. Not even a little. If you want to if he's there and you need a running back, draft him. But you kind of put an asterisk near him because you better draft his running back or his backup running back.
Sean, you put Jonathan Taylor at 4, so you have less concern about his injury history?
I do. I think.
Remember that one year he sneezed and he was out for 6 weeks?
I think that
I do that too.
Comparingly to the rest of the field, you gotta rank these guys. Yes, a little bit on I guess injury factor, but you got to go with these guys and how they're going to perform. And when he's in your lineup, he's gonna be that bell cow. He's gonna definitely help drive that offense. I mean, Richardson is there, and yeah, he's gonna run. Yeah, he's gonna pass, but he's not an established passer yet. He's not gonna throw for more than, I'd say, 3,000 yards, which nowadays is not a lot.
Jesus, 10 years ago that was a lot.
Yeah,
that
I know.
Was a lot.
20 years ago that was all pro.
I don't think he makes 3,000 yards. So
right. My concern is Jonathan Taylor has not rushed for over 1,000 yards in 2 years.
Okay.
So,
but you trust Saquon or Kyron more? Etienne, who was out there, a whole year, wasn't he? 2 years ago?
He does have Travis Etienne and Devon A-Chain ranked above Jonathan Taylor.
And A-Chain was injured last year.
He was, but he has concussions. He didn't snap ligaments and bones.
No, didn't he have knee issues last year?
What happened?
Did he have a knee issue last year?
He had concussion issues, and then he had like a bruised knee, I think.
He only played in 8 games and played.
He does have a concussion history.
I thought he had something with his
legs. But Jonathan
too.
Taylor, example, 2020, 1,169 yards. 2021, 1,811 yards. 2022, 861 yards. 2023, 741 yards.
But he was hurt in 2022 and was coming back from it in 2023. You would expect the numbers to be down.
Don't trust it.
Wouldn't you? Craig doesn't trust it.
Don't trust it.
He still was like he still had like the 13th most yards coming back from injury.
Now wait, are you
most yards after contact last year? And,
okay, he had 7 touchdowns last year and 4 the year before. How does that help my fantasy team? It doesn't.
You know what we're forgetting in all of this too is I'm scanning Fantasy Pros as we go through this, but he missed the first 4 games last year with a contract holdout.
Yep.
Well,
show up till week 5.
Well, that's not my issue. I don't care about rich people arguing for more money. That's not my problem.
And I get that. But if we're seeing that the limitation is the stats, that he's not putting up the numbers. He did miss 3 games to injury in the middle of season last year. He missed weeks 13, 14, and 15. But looking at this, he only had 1 game over 100 yards. It was the last week against Houston. He ran 30 times for 188 yards. In a game that probably did not matter for a single fantasy owner.
Unlikely.
Because it was week 18.
Unlikely.
Okay, so Craig is not big on Jonathan Taylor. Okay. All right, so the rest of our top 10, we have Kyron Williams at number 6. We have Travis Etienne at 7. We have Devon A-Chain at 8. We have Isaiah Pacheco at 9. And Josh Jacobs at 10. Make a mental note, gentlemen. Pacheco and Jacobs moved up significantly because Cinch put both of those guys way higher than any of us. So just a note there.
Interesting.
So those top 5, even I have a lot of concerns about Breece Hall, mainly the color of the uniform he wears and the team he's on. Those are the biggest concerns I have. But I'm looking at that first tier, the McCaffrey's in a tier by himself, right? And then you can argue how many of those guys end up in the second tier. But I feel like after Jonathan Taylor, there's a definitive drop-off to Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne, Devon A-Chain, Isaiah Pacheco, and Josh Jacobs. tell me which one there you're going to take. Which one is not tier 3 behind those first 5 guys in your mind? Let's start with Sean on this one. So, of those names, Kyron Williams, Etienne, Achane, Pacheco, or Jacobs, which one would you take in a pinch?
Probably Etienne, just because I think his volume and everything. He's not like an all-world beater with like these other guys ahead of him, but he's gonna be the more steady guy, and I just don't like Kyron. He could be great, but I'll go with what Craig said. I just don't trust that he can handle a full workload at his size. And Josh Jacobs, yeah, he's going to technically a better team, but the scheme that they've used in Green Bay, right? That's where he is
Yes.
is not the same scheme that he does well in. So unless they're changing their whole running back, their blocking scheme, he's gonna have a little bit of an issue there.
So before I throw it to Craig, I just want to correct you on one thing there. Josh Jacobs was a Raider prior to this. There's no such thing as a scheme in Las Vegas. They just kind of go out there and draw stuff in the ground. And so
blocking
blocking scheme. Okay, I think they pretty much do that. They use one of those electronic vibrating football machines from the 60s in the locker room prior.
I used to have one of those.
How did you really?
Yeah, I think my brother had it, or I bought it at a tag sale, but yes.
Fantastic. Oh, so Craig, your thoughts on that? Travis Etienne, is he the best of that group, or do you trust one of the other guys I said more?
Who, just really quick, say the other ones again?
All right, so the 6 through 10 were Kyron Williams,
Yep.
Etienne,
Yep.
Achane,
Yep.
Pacheco, and Jacobs.
See, I'm gonna go the opposite of Sean, and I think I'm just gonna stick with Williams. I think I would take Etienne second out of those two, but I think Williams, he had over 1,000 yards. He had 12 touchdowns. His average was 5 yards a carry. I think he can handle it, outside of injuries.
So the only thing that Etienne doesn't have in that, what you just said, the only thing Etienne doesn't have is the yards per carry. He's at 3.8. He did have 1,000 yards on the ground. He had 11 on the ground and 1 receiving and touchdowns last year. I think they're very comparable players, but you're telling me Kyron's more explosive.
That's how I feel for the offense that he's on.
Sean, what do you got?
I mean, they took Blake Corum to supplement him, and I believe that's the name of the rookie that is there in LA, and I can see him starting to take some of that load off of him and not getting the same production you got out of Kyron again. Can he handle a whole 17 game schedule with his frame? He's a very small running back.
Yeah, he's like 5'9", so
he's elusive.
Elusive.
Short people in the NFL. They're elusive. They're elusive. All right, moving on. Let's go on to the next batch of folks. We got Saquon Barkley at 11, and I'm going to spoil it right now. The reason Saquon is that low is because Cinch ranked him at 28th.
Whoa.
Cinch
Really?
does not. So somebody make a mental note. That is a round table question. And since we know listens to this, 28th on the list. Cinch is not high on Saquon Barkley, so that'll be a great talking point when we get. That's why I love the round tables, kids. Everybody's like, why don't you have everybody on every episode? Then the round tables would be, so what you have for lunch today?
Wrong.
This way we have shit to talk about. Wrong. So Saquon Barkley we have at 11, right ahead of Rachaad White at 12 and Joe Mixon at 13. Joe Mixon's actually tied with number 14, James Cook. Alvin Kamara is at 15. Derrick Henry, who used to own the universe, is at 16. And why? Because Cinch put him at 29th.
God, wow.
Cinch has had significant impacts on the rankings this year. He has decided he is following his gut. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
He's either a genius or a madman, and either way, it's a great conversation. Derrick Henry at 16. James Conner is at 17. Why is James Conner so high? Cinch ranked him 10th.
Wow.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Put
Right.
James Conner in the top 10. I can't wait for the round table.
I wouldn't mind having him on my team, but all right.
We'll get there in a minute.
I'm not taking him as my RB1 though.
Well, we're already in RB2 territory here, so.
Well, you said he ranked him as 10th. You said
he put him at 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him as my RB1. He could, but.
All right, so let me finish out the top 20 here. 18th is Kenneth Walker III, a.k.a. the former rookie from Seattle that none of us knew, but Sean did. Number 19 is Aaron Jones. And number 20 is Ramondre Stevenson. Before I toss this out to you guys about what sticks out there, because that's the question, I'm going to tell you mine. What sticks out to me is Ramondre Stevenson at 20. Ramondre Stevenson, in my estimation, as from a fantasy perspective, has done absolutely nothing ever. Like, I'm pulling up his stats now.
He's a good backup.
Last year, no 100-yard games, no multiple touchdown games. Granted, he missed the last 5 weeks of the year with injury, but I'm looking at this and I'm like 619 yards on 156 touches for a 4.0 and 51 grabs. Okay. But all-purpose yards, 850. That's it. Sean, I'm going to throw this to you first. It's a two-part question. Number one, you have Ramondre Stevenson higher than I do at 18th. Craig has him lower than everybody here, so Craig doesn't have to explain himself at all. What do you think is going to change this year about Ramondre Stevenson that puts him at 18?
I don't think I need to put any change to him. I mean, he's been a pretty reliable. I mean, I think he's been pretty reliable for an RB2 back end. And he's probably not going to have. I mean, the Patriots were horrible last year. They're probably still going to be pretty bad this year, but who's going to be the rookie, the rookie's friend, the rookie QB's friend? It's going to be checking down to him because he's a pretty good pass catcher. I mean, he's not like crazy, but he's pretty good. And they're gonna run the ball, try to give him the ball to establish some kind of like consistency. So I think volume and his pass catching ability is gonna keep him in that RB2 area.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing with that. Mac Jones used to be a rookie, and in his rookie year, Ramondre Stevenson caught 18 passes for 123 yards. Now, he wasn't the premier back then, but he was in 2022 when he caught a total of 69 passes for 421 yards and played every game. 6.1 average. That's a decent average for a running back.
61,
coming out of the backfield.
You say 61 catches? That's pretty 69. Good for a running back.
69, but only 421 yards, and I just don't see it. Okay, so part two of the question. That list: Barkley, White, Mixon, Cook, Kamara, Henry, Connor, Walker, Aaron Jones, or Ramondre Stevenson. Who in there is going to be, someone in that list is going to be top 10? We know this, right? This happens every year where somebody in the middle rank that is a borderline RB1, RB2 ascends into that top 10. Which one of those guys is going to be it for you?
I think for me, that's easy. That's going to be Saquon. I know he's getting older, but it's like a brand new take on life. He's going to have, he's out of that cesspool of New York.
Does your wife know that you're saying this right now?
No, she does not. But
just went down an octave.
He
just went from this to this.
It was not the best of times in New York for Saquon, where he got there and it was some of the worst quarterback play, the worst offensive scheme, the worst offensive line, and he paid the price by getting injured because he was being the workhorse he needed to be. So I think I think he's just happy to be gone, and I think he's gonna do well. They have a good offensive line in Philly. Not as good as it was last year, I know, but it's still pretty good. It's better than what New York had, and I think he's gonna thrive there for at least a year, maybe two.
Not the best of times. That makes the Giants sound like a Dickens novel.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. They are.
The coaching staff is walking around the street going, "Please, sir, can you spare a wide receiver?" Oh my God! All right, Craig, what about you?
It was the worst of times.
Craig, what about you? Who ascends out of that list? Who surprises us?
I think for me, and again, I know it's going to sound biased, but Joe Mixon is going to another explosive offense, and I think he has a lot of potential. He has a lot of potential to get back on the Joe Mixon train because Houston has a very, very high-powered offense if C.J. Stroud keeps up the same tempo he had last year, and I think there's a lot of potential there that you can get late in a draft.
And for me, the answer is Alvin Kamara. The whole suspension thing is now fully behind him.
He's holding out right now.
He's not, though. Did you see the article today where he showed up and they said, "Why are you here if you're in a contract dispute?" And his response was, quote, "I ain't stupid," end quote.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. I stand corrected. I didn't see that today.
He showed up for minicamp. He may not start the season if they don't figure this out, but he is absolutely doing his part to make the media pay attention and see that he's not the problem here. And that puts a lot of pressure on the Saints.
Nice. That's a smart move by him. Smart move.
It is. It really is. Because listen, if you're a running back in that situation, and you know this is becoming an issue, right? The best thing you can do is be the good Boy Scout and show up. Because what's the media going to do? They're going to immediately ask you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And his response was awesome. "I ain't stupid" is the best thing he could say.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. It's perfect. It's perfect. What are you doing here if you don't have a contract? Well, I ain't stupid. I ain't getting a contract sitting at home. So, all right, let's move on in our rankings because believe it or not, we're almost out of time already. Let's do the 21 through 30. We got Austin Eckler at 21. How the mighty have fallen. Number 22 is perennial Britt favorite David Montgomery. Number 23 is Raheem Mostert, who will be the number 1 in Miami if Devon Achane has more issues. Number 24 is DeAndre Swift. Number 25 is Zamir White. Number 26 is Tony Don't Forget I Exist Pollard. Number 27 is Najee Me Neither Harris. 28 is Javonte Williams. 29 is Nick Chubb. And number 30 is Jalen Warren. Craig, you had Nick Chubb at 7.
I did.
You are the only member of our team who put him outside of an RB3 ranking.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have Nick Chubb so much higher than everybody else? He's an RB1 on your list. He's an RB3 on everybody else's. Tell us what's in your mind.
Reason being because of his injury and because it's such a common injury now. I think he can come back from it. Again, asterisks there. He could fall over and get hurt again. I know. But I think he has a really good chance to go back to what he was doing before. Especially being on the Browns. I don't think with him being back, I don't think they're really going to change much from what they were doing in the past. So my theory is if you think Breece Hall, if you think he's going to be good, I think Nick Chubb can be equally as good because they both pretty much had the same injury.
You know what's amazing about you? Before I throw this to Sean, this is going to sound highly critical, and it's not meant to be highly critical, but maybe it is.
Mm-hmm.
You spent 10 minutes telling us about Jonathan Taylor's injury history, dooming him.
Yes.
And then ranked a guy who played 2 games last year
above
Jonathan Taylor.
Different injuries, different teams. Jonathan Taylor, that 1 year he got hurt, he was on the field for 10 minutes and died. And ever since then, he has been hurt constantly.
Did you see the injury to Nick Chubb? Did you?
Yes. Did you see the injury to Breece Hall?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same knee injury that gets reconstructed.
Okay. So
I'm not big on baseball.
My problem is just like with Christian McCaffrey, you keep having multiple injuries, and then it doesn't matter after a while. You have one injury, it's fixed, then okay.
All right. So if you're gonna compare it to Breece Hall didn't come on last year as being really fully healthy until the end of the year, and even that is a earlier than a lot of people that have these injuries.
Have you looked at Jonathan Taylor's injury history? This is his injury history. He had a strained quad. He hurt his ankle. He hurt his knee. He hurt his ankle again. He hurt his ankle again, and then he tore a ligament in his hand.
He's evasive.
Yes.
But I'm talking about Nick Chubb and Brees Hall. It had nothing to do with Jonathan Taylor.
No, because I was assuming you were gonna start defending Jonathan Taylor. That's why.
No. So I think by the end of the year, Nick Chubb could be maybe he could be a league winner because he comes on and is back, to his old self by the end of the year.
Yep.
But it would be foolish. I think it would be foolish to draft him that high because you're not going to get RB7 numbers out of him early on enough. I mean, it might take till week 13, 14, 15, 6, right before the playoffs, before he's that way. And are you going to draft a running back that high for those numbers that late? I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna change Craig's opinion with two pieces of information. Number one, he was put on the PUP list today, which at this point in the preseason is not a bad thing. As long as he's removed by August 27th, he's still eligible to start the season. But Craig, he was captured on film last week squatting 540 pounds.
Oh, God damn it.
And if you've listened to this podcast enough, there's only two things that are the kiss of death on this podcast from coming back from injury. One is jumping out of a pool standing, and the other one is film doing squats after an injury.
God
and
damn
Nick
it.
Chubb, 540-pound squats last week. So Craig, off the top of your head, you have him at 7th in your list. How many spots does the squatting video move him down?
At least 5. God damn it.
It really has been the kiss of death anytime it's come up on this podcast. It really has. I mean, even James Conner was the guy. Was it James? Who jumped out of the pool? Was it Conner?
The guy that yelled at us. Who was it? Shit. No. Guy that played for Houston. Fuck. What was his name?
Damian Pierce?
No.
No,
Before that. Before
Adrian something.
Maybe.
I'm drawing a blank because it was like
Damn
5
it.
or 6 years ago. But that
him.
guy jumped out of a standing pool, and when we were like, no, we ranked that guy low, somebody on Twitter screamed at us that we didn't know what we were talking about. And it was like, have you seen this video? And he posted the video of him jumping out of the pool, and we were like, well, that's nice. How does that help him run? And we were right. I may be wrong. I may be terrible in forgetting, but I will never forget that we were right about that. So
We were about that. Yes.
Okay, so that's Sean. You have, of these people, really quick, because we are pretty much out of time. I'm just going to fly through the rest of the list after your comments here.
Ooh.
Our number 23 is Raheem Mostert. You have him at 12, which is borderline RB1. That means you have both running backs, A-Chain and Mostert, right next to each other, because you had A-Chain at 11.
No. I don't.
No, I'm looking at Cinch. Okay.
Oh. Was it Adrian Foster or David Johnson? I think it was one of them. Sorry.
It was David Johnson. It was David Johnson.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
it was David Johnson. It was David Johnson jumped out of the pool. Who is he talking to?
Sorry, I was talking to everybody.
Yes.
But I will comment on the gap between A-Chain and Mostert. I know I ranked them pretty far, 20 spots, but truthfully, if both are healthy,
yeah, there's 20 spots between them.
like the whole time, I can see that gap being very, very much closer. I could see the A-Chain being further down because he's losing reps to Mostert, and Mostert being further up, more of both in the RB2 area, and that is a very good possibility. But we all know running backs get injured, so it probably won't happen. But that is definitely a possibility in that scenario.
My apologies for getting the columns. I have all the columns here, and sometimes I see S, and I just assume Sean when I also have Cinch here. Sean's rankings are actually very much in line with the consensus in this range. The only outliers he has Austin Eckler down at 32. So I want to ask you really quickly about that. The rest of the team has him in the 20s. Or Craig actually has him in the top 15. You really think Eckler's done? Is Eckler untouchable?
I do. I really do think he's kind of done. And I can see, and this is kind of the same situation where I think have Brian Robinson and Eckler both eat into their production and make themselves less, maybe flex area. Plus, you also have Jaden Dan, assuming that he's going to be the quarterback, which I've heard might not happen at the beginning of the year now. But he's a good running quarterback, so I can see him eating a lot of rushing yards, touchdowns as well. So it's a combination. It's definitely a combination. I think Eckler. I mean, it was just so bad last year that I think it's sometimes it is, sometimes it's a cliff, and it might be I think it might be for him.
Okay, really quick, last question before we go to final thoughts. We had 47 total names pop up on our list this year. We have just covered the top 30. I want to ask you guys about a name that you guys ranked higher than top 30 that did not come up. And we'll start with Sean on this. You have Tyjae Spears at 28, which would be, just on the edge of RB3, probably flex territory. Sell me on Tyjae Spears.
I mean, I think if Pollard hadn't signed there, Tyjae Spears for me would be probably close to an RB1 for me. I think he is pretty good. And the fact that Tony Pollard is there has brought me down. So if Tony Pollard gets hurt or he underperforms, Tyjae Spears could be, like people like to say, a league winner. Tyjae Spears could be that person that all of a sudden you drafted him as a flex or maybe even your fourth running back. I doubt fourth, but flex, and all of a sudden he's giving you RB close to RB1 numbers because Pollard hasn't performed or he's injured. So I think he's definitely an upside person there.
Tyjae Spears is going number 38 among number 34 among running backs right now. Definite value there. Running out of time, so I got to throw to Craig really quick. Chase Brown. You had more faith in Chase Brown than anyone else. You have him at number 22. Take a minute and sell me on Chase Brown.
Chase Brown has a lot of upside. I know Zach Moss is there now, but fantasy-wise, I've never been a huge Zach Moss fan. And again, just like Joe Mixon on the Texans, they're on a very high-powered offense. But I think Chase Brown has a lot more explosive power than Zach Moss does.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we are so far out of time, it's not even funny. So I'm just going to run our top 30 list right by the viewers nonstop really quick. We've got Christian McCaffrey at 1, followed by Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, and Jonathan Taylor at 5. Kyron Williams, Travis Etienne is at 7. Devon Achane comes in at 8th. Pacheco at 9th, and Josh Jacobs rounds out the top 10. Saquon Barkley, Rashad White, Joe Mixon at 13, then James Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry at 16, James Conner, Kenny Walker, Aaron Jones, and Ramondre Stevenson at 20. We got Austin Eckler at 21, David Montgomery at 22, followed by Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift, Zamir White, Tony Pollard, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams comes in at 28, Nick Chubb at 29, and Jaylen Warren rounds out our list at 30. Final thoughts, gentlemen. Don't have to go to running back if you don't want to. Where do you want to go with your final thought this week? And let's start with Craig.
My final thought for running back is, you're going to be shocked. Pay attention to injuries. If somebody has an injury history, you might want to draft their running back. Just saying. And for me personally, if there's a running back that you really want, but he's ranked low, don't reach too high for him. Like, for example, I'll just bring him up again. Like, I'm always a J.K. Dobbins fan. I always will be. Am I going to draft him in the top 5 rounds? No. Is he if he's there round 13 and I need another running back while I look at him? Yes.
Okay. Sean, what's your final thought this week?
Final thought is, no matter how you draft, robust RB, hero RB, zero RB, just always be willing to change up a little bit because of how the draft is going. You don't have to draft, okay, I have to do this. I have to draft 5 receivers and a quarterback and a tight end before I draft my first running back because I'm going 0 RB. Or I have to draft because I want to go, hero RB. I have to draft that guy in the first round. You let the draft come to you. If you have to change it up, you change it up. But go with the guys you like too. Obviously, if you like Nick Chubb at 7, I guess go ahead. But
I heard the eye roll.
always have fun at doing these drafts, and maybe our advice can help you out a little bit with that. So
my final thought this year is kind of going along. What I'm hearing from these guys a lot of is let the draft come to you, which you've heard me say a bajillion times. This year, running back is so spread out. Wide receiver is without a doubt the deepest spot in fantasy this year. I feel like you can grab really good guys early. You can wait and grab mid-range guys late. And for me, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got to get running backs, You got to get 2 running backs right off the bat, or you got to go 0 RB. I don't subscribe to any of those kinds of things. Like Sean said, be flexible. Don't be rigid. But I do see this as a year where I want to grab my RBs early as the flow allows me to. Now, I say that if I'm drafting 8 and 6 of the first 7 picks are RBs, I'm probably not drafting an RB at the first pick. But overall, if I'm looking at a standard flow of the draft, I am looking at trying to grab 2 RBs probably in the first 4 rounds. I look at this, I look at these drop-offs, these cliffs, and all that being said, there is value. There is value out there. There will be late picks. So get your preparation done, have a plan, but be flexible in that plan. I'm going to walk into most drafts this year saying I need to get running back early, and I guarantee you that is never how it goes. But I can't sit there and panic and grab Isaiah Pacheco with the 9th overall pick because the running backs are flying off the board. Just be flexible and be ready to change, because I really think this running back pool is very fluid this year. I can't remember a year where I've seen more variability in the running back pool. So, where there is no variability? In the quality of this podcast. And you can recognize that by leaving us a review on the podcast directory you found us on. It's probably Apple, but maybe it's not. Wherever it is, if you could leave us a review, it would really help us out. Also, if you want to reach out, ask any questions, give any feedback, you can reach us easily through email. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com. That's fignutsdfs@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at the Football Fignuts Podcast. And we used to be on that Twitter thing, but honestly, I don't think anyone has. I think even Cinch gave up logging into the Twitter feed.
I think so.
I don't think we're on Twitter at all. So, Sean, thank you so much for joining us for running backs today. Your insight, as always, was excellent. You're off next week. You're off next week. You're traveling, right?
Yes, I'll be camping.
Lord knows why.
Camping during the first week of training camp. Oh my God! With the Bears, Hard Knocks.
I have never missed an episode of Rankings in 8 seasons, and I will miss 2 the next 2 weeks as I go on my anniversary trip. So I
have a great time.
I feel we will have a fantastic time once I get once I land, I'll be fine. Once I land, I'll be fine. But getting through the flight is always the pain in the ass for me. But this will be the first time in 8 years. And I'm missing the most important episode of the year. I'm missing the tight end kicker defense extravaganza.
Sean's favorite episode.
Woo!
He'll be back for that one. It'll be so next week we'll have Craig and Cinch talk about wide receivers. The week after we'll have all 3 of them talking about tight ends, kickers, and defenses. And then I will come back and I will bring us all together for the round table. And that should be a hootenanny in and of itself.
The hootenanny.
The hootenanny. It's a preseason hootenanny
right there.
It's a shin. We need another terminology there. What am I missing? Shindig, hootenanny,
slobber knocker.
Slobber knocker's good. Slobber knocker. 80s wrestling references for you right there, folks. So, okay. Thank you both for joining me today on this. I really appreciate it. And I think I feel like I learned a lot today myself. So until we speak next, My name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
I'm I'm
Damn,
Sean.
we should have researched that part. Let's do it
We
again.
should've. Sure.
Yeah, and don't edit this out. Let's just leave this in for Deb and everybody. So hi,
Sure.
Deb. By the way.
Hi, Dab.
So, let's try it again. Let's go in alphabetical order here.
Reverse
My name
order.
is Britt.
My name is Craig.
And I'm Sean.
Jesus Christ, we are the Football Fignuts podcast. Have a great week, everybody.
And I'm out.